Did fiery Friday prayers in Tehran just ignite the spark for Iran's long-promised revenge? Could a shocking Jeffrey Epstein taunt be pushing the Gulf to the brink of a new flashpoint? Is Khamenei's envoy drawing a red line with his sharp Prostitution Island jibe at the US? Are Tehran's hardline clerics signaling that diplomacy is dead, and talks are off for good? Friday prayers in Tehran turned into a heated stage for political messaging, with senior clerics launching a fresh verbal offensive over escalating tensions with the United States. Speaking before thousands of worshippers, Khamenei's envoy Ahmed al-Hoda declared that negotiating with what he called Prostitution Island figures, a veiled reference to Western leaders, was absolutely unacceptable. On February 20th, al-Hoda went further, warning that joining forces with or even shaking hands with such politicians would cross what he described as a firm red line for the Iranian regime. He also praised the Iranian military's latest naval exercise in the Strait of Hormuz, calling it a heroic operation meant to demonstrate Iran's readiness to defend its borders and challenge US power in the Gulf. An envoy to Ali Khamenei, Ahmed al-Hoda, said, and I quote, "Joining and shaking hands with figures whose corruption record is like a prostitution island is unacceptable. If negotiations lead to a wrong and foolish result, their course must be tightly defined. We can close the Strait of Hormuz and entangle and exhaust the world." The phrase Prostitution Island immediately drew global attention, evoking the infamous circle of powerful figures associated with Jeffrey Epstein and his private island scandals. Iranian hardliner Ahmed al-Hoda used the phrase as a biting metaphor to ridicule what he described as the moral decay and hypocrisy of Western political elites. His stern warning against even shaking hands with American politicians has now cast fresh doubt on the future of Iran-US nuclear negotiations, signaling that Tehran's hardliners may be closing the door on diplomacy. During Friday prayers in Tehran, the city's prayer leader declared that Israel is now unwilling to engage Iran militarily, claiming that the 12-day conflict last year has changed the region's balance of power. Mohammed Hassan Abu Turabi Fard said the confrontation exposed Israel's vulnerabilities, arguing that the so-called Zionist forces have no effective defense against Iran's growing capabilities. He added that last year's 12-day episode, which included limited US strikes on suspected nuclear sites, dramatically altered the regional balance, pushing Washington and its allies onto the defensive. Abu Turabi also emphasized that any ongoing talks with Washington are taking place strictly under strategic roadmap defined by Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, ensuring no deviation from Iran's core policies. Meanwhile, in Karaj, senior cleric Hosseini Hamdani praised the Revolutionary Guard's unveiling of a new hypersonic missile, saying it sent a clear warning to Iran's adversaries not to test its military resolve. Member of Parliament Amir Hoyat Morgadam issued an even stronger statement, claiming that if war breaks out, Iran has the capability to sink a US warship and take American forces captive. He went as far as warning that Iran's reach could extend to American soil, saying Tehran could target the palace of Trump if hostilities ever escalate that far. Iran's foreign minister stated that Washington has not demanded a permanent halt to Tehran's uranium enrichment program, clarifying one of the most contentious issues in the ongoing nuclear discussions. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, speaking to MS News Morning Joe, described the recent Geneva talks between Iranian and American negotiators as constructive and cautiously optimistic. He added that both sides had reached a preliminary understanding on a set of guiding principles that could form the framework for a renewed nuclear agreement in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, reports in the United States suggest that President Trump is seriously considering authorizing a limited military strike against Iranian targets as a show of force. According to those reports, the strike is intended to pressure Iran into accepting Trump's terms for a new nuclear deal, one that imposes stricter curbs and faster compliance than before. These dramatic developments were reported by the Wall Street Journal on February 20th, citing senior US defense and intelligence officials familiar with ongoing deliberations. The paper further claimed that Trump might escalate strikes in stages until Iran either dismantles its nuclear program or faces severe political and economic collapse. The Wall Street Journal report coincided with Trump's decision to extend his earlier deadline for Iran, a move widely seen as buying time for one final diplomatic opening before potential confrontation.
Today on Iran, bad things will happen if Iran doesn't make
really bad things.
What will that?
I'm not going to talk to you about that.
What is the goal if there is a U.S. military
Well, we're
strike?
going to make a deal, or we're going to get a deal one way or the other.
But with a military strike, is it to wipe out their nuclear program?
I'm not going to talk to you about that, but we're either going to get a deal or it's going to be unfortunate for them.
And you said today 10 days. Have you given them a deadline firm to make a deal?
I would think that would be enough time, 10, 15 days, pretty much maximum.